This chart tracks a massive discrepancy in Ohio's fiscal planning. Officials projected 2024 data center tax exemptions would cost $135.8 million. The actual loss hit $554.9 million. The trend accelerates in 2025, ballooning to over $1.5 billion, more than 11 times the original estimate. These figures represent the initial costs of 40-year, legally binding contracts that now serve as a long-term drain on public funds. By rushing to become a tech hub, the state effectively trapped its taxpayers into footing a multi-billion-dollar bill for the world's wealthiest corporations. From 2014 to 2018, Ohio officials aggressively pursued statewide framework agreements with tech giants including Amazon, Meta, and Google. These deals granted 100% sales tax exemptions for up to 4 decades, triggered automatically once a company met a total investment target, such as $8 billion. Budget officials failed to forecast the sheer scale of modern hyperscale infrastructure. They didn't account for the massive recurring costs of high-end server equipment and the specialized power systems required to run them. The focus on billion-dollar investment headlines blinded officials to the actual mechanics of how data centers operate, leading them to embrace a flawed economic model. Traditional tax incentives are built to attract high-employment industries, like this manufacturing plant. The primary goal is to build a broad local income tax base that eventually pays back the massive initial public investment. A data center project does create an initial burst of activity, requiring thousands of skilled construction workers during a 2 to 3 year build phase. However, once the facility is operational, employment vanishes. These massive campuses are largely autonomous, often requiring only 30 to 80 permanent staff for facility security and basic daily IT maintenance. This scale shows the imbalance in the state's contracts. Ohio granted decades of exemptions to $2 billion facilities while requiring annual payrolls as low as $1.5 to $4 million. Because data centers operate with so few workers, they fail to generate the tax revenue needed to justify their massive public subsidies. The financial impact extends beyond the state level. Counties and municipalities lose tens of millions more in local sales taxes on every multi-billion-dollar equipment purchase. Local deals often include property tax abatements known as TIFs or PLOTs. These arrangements divert revenue away from school districts and emergency services, even as the facilities increase demand on municipal infrastructure. But there is also a direct physical cost. Hyperscale AI and modern cloud operations consume immense amounts of raw power, which places a severe strain on regional transmission grids. When utility companies build costly upgrades to support these tech giants, those infrastructure costs are frequently passed down to residential customers through rate hikes. Local citizens end up paying twice, once through lost tax revenue meant for their communities, and again through higher monthly bills to subsidize big tech's massive electricity use. When the General Assembly realized that billions were being lost to tax-free equipment purchases, the reaction was immediate. Governor Mike DeWine intervened by directing the Tax Credit Authority to halt all new data center tax exemption applications while the state re-examines the program. Lawmakers are now drafting reforms to tighten eligibility and establish specialized utility rates so that residents no longer subsidize corporate energy use. State leadership is currently in crisis mode, attempting to rewrite the rules before the fiscal deficit widens and the regional power grid faces further instability. These new legislative reforms face a significant legal hurdle. The original statewide contracts are legally binding. Legacy tech companies that have already signed these agreements will remain immune to the new reforms, keeping their 100% exemptions for up to 4 decades. Ohio's experience serves as a warning. Applying outdated tax logic to modern digital infrastructure forces the public to finance corporate profits, proving that while the cloud may seem invisible, the taxpayer is the one building it.